Welcome to Marketing People Love. Today I have Nick Hall. Now, Nick is currently the CEO of Revive Marketing Partners, but before that, he was a brand owner of Vita5 and grew it until its acquisition and now helps dozens of brands break through and scale up on Amazon. Today, he's going to be sharing what he looks for in brands that are ready to take off and scale, what mistakes people make with their math, and he gives us the actual math formulas, if you will. What's the multiples of my product costs that need to make sense? What does it take to win right now? Not 5 years ago, not 1 year ago on Amazon. And we talk AI in Amazon. What are the influences there? And by the end of this, I had him auditing some of our accounts. The guy is an absolute guru, a great person, and I would love to welcome him to the show. Welcome to Marketing People Love. Nick, welcome to Marketing People Love. Are you ready to unpack the future of Amazon right now?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
So you have an extensive background, and I think to help people understand the perspective and the context you're coming from, what has your relationship been like up until we're talking April of 2026? Reverse back in time. What's been your relationship to Amazon as a platform? How have you learned it, used it before we get into the future of what you're doing now with brands and what they need to be thinking of for the future?
Yeah. So I ran my own brand, company called Vita5. We did gummy vitamins, all direct to consumer at first. Built that to millions a year. Then we went Amazon, scaled that up. And then we went retail. We went 0 to 25,000 points of distribution within about 2 years. And during that time, I worked with a number of agencies. And to kind of finalize the whole story on like where I'm at now, I ended up taking it back in house and grew at 450% when no one else was able to grow it at all. And then after selling the business, ended up going into helping others on Amazon to actually scale their brands.
Yeah, and Amazon it's a beast of a marketplace. It's so much more than just a platform. Like, why did you feel the need to take it back over? What was not being managed in the way that you wanted, and what was the difference there?
The reality, so at first, I had I had gotten into Amazon because a buddy of mine was doing about $30 million a year on Amazon. He kind of gave me the ropes, gave me all the inside secrets. I started becoming friends with a bunch of top sellers on Amazon. And we just all kind of shared our secrets of what was working. We all had something different every week and we would all test it and figure out what was the best or whatever. I outsourced it truthfully because I just didn't have the time, bandwidth, energy. And I thought these guys are experts. Let's go ahead and send it out to them. And honestly, I think most of them had really good intentions. And I think some of them had like good opportunity to win. Where I think most go wrong is they don't understand the business. And so they've never been in the business. They don't understand the cash flow, the supply chain, the depths of the marketing, or better yet, when you look at Amazon truthfully versus a Meta or TikTok, Amazon is based off of search volume that's already out there. Versus Meta or TikTok, these are discovery products.
I was gonna say, that's literally where I was gonna head next.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll wait until you finish your thought on that. But that is where I was headed. In terms of it is a place that captures demand and it captures people that are shopping in real time.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
exactly right. And I think that that's one of the biggest things that we figured out through it was when you know it's that, you then start to launch products based off of those specific things. So really when you look at it, I get so many people that come to me all the time and they sit there and they're like, "Hey, I want to launch colostrum, collagen." I just did it. I did this as an example on a podcast the other day. I went on ChatGPT and Claude and I said, "Give me 5 good products to launch in the supplement space, the worst 5 products you could ever launch."
Yeah,
Because it doesn't understand
basically,
all
we're
the
like, here's
factors.
the bloodbath of what's working
Yeah,
now.
oh,
Yeah.
exactly what it was. And so truthfully, like what I did the best was my marketing. I do think that I set up the structure of the campaigns is a bit better, more for scale. But I think what I did even better was find the product that you know that you can actually win on. And
Mhm.
I do not like getting into bloodbath
Yeah.
because someone has more money, someone's bigger, someone's willing to lose more, someone's whatever it may be. From my side, I'd rather get into a space that I can win in this little area and then gradually build it out. And maybe I go launch my next product. And then, if I can get it big enough, then I own the entire category.
Yeah, really interesting. And so, what I mean, man, we get So we have like over 300 brands a month that reach
So
out to
cool.
us. It's insane. And
Wow.
because of that, we see so many different shapes and forms of like what those businesses look like, what those business models look like, and the number of times I've met someone doing anywhere from 10 million to over 100 million on Amazon alone. Like they're like, we don't even we have a website that doesn't really exist. Like you would be shocked potentially. I think everyone listening would be shocked by how many people can build a true business on Amazon, which to me is not that shocking. 'Cause it's like that's like say you could build a business by having a product in Walmart or in Target. It's like, yeah, of
Yeah,
course. It's
yeah.
like there are people there shopping, you provide something. And so as you are, I think about this through the lens of like if people say, should I get on TikTok shop? I'm like, it depends on a lot of different factors. Like, can you what is winning there? Why does it win there? So help me unpack like what are the zig when you zag type of brands that are out there or opportunities. I just shouldn't say brands, just opportunities because reason I'm asking it that way is it's like everyone sees the most successful thing and then they're like, I can do that too. Or like
Yep,
if I can get 1 or 2% of the market, like that's great. Rather than,
yep,
oh, I could own 20% of the market on Amazon on this thing, and I'm to your point, I'm not competing with someone that just raised $30 million or $100 million. Uh,
yep.
and so that I think that's where more of my questions coming from is like, how are you looking at those opportunities? What are the levers?
I go through a couple things, and this is formulaic for me at this point. One is I'm looking at, is the market big enough, right? Because where some people look at it in this massive market where it's $1 million a month with 10 different products that are all crushing, there's also the other side of this that does $2,000 a month, $4,000 a month. Well, no one's paying their bills with that.
Mm.
I mean, there's nothing you can pay. You can hardly pay your electricity with that. So you got to make sure that there's enough size in the market. Then what I look at is, what does competition look like? Like one of them, I sit here and think through, and everyone thinks I have a different reason for this, but car seats. You go look up car seats, and Graco wins on just about everything. 4.8 and 4.9 star reviews. People love it. The price point's $150 to $250, and like it's amazing. We'll go and look at some of these newer players in the market. They're winning from Meta or TikTok or other channels. They did not win on Amazon first. That's not a channel that they were gonna win on, because really Amazon shoppers are Walmart shoppers, which I'm a Walmart shopper, so, whether it's good, bad, whatever, most people want best value. Now, best value does not mean cheapest price always, but the price has to be reasonable.
Right.
And that's why if you ever go look online for, like, the best quality headphones, you don't find the best quality headphones. You find $40 pair of headphones that are good enough rated.
Mhm.
And so that's where we've got to shift things. Then what I start to look through is, after the reviews, how are the competitors and how do you line up against them? Are they a 4.2 and you can be a 4.6, or are they all 4.9s? Because the reality is at 4.9, people are pretty dang happy with what they have.
Right. Yeah, I know the
And then we
experience of the
look
shopper too, where if the price is the same and it's kind of commoditized, you're like, I'm gonna go with the one that has 10,000 4.9 ratings, like not the one that had, or even if it's 4.7 or 4.6, got 10,000. I'm not gonna go with
Yep,
one with a 5.0 rating because they have 100. Like it just,
exactly.
yeah, they have such a massive lead in that sort of like category of space. That's a good point.
Yeah, and the last thing that I'll look at is cost per clicks. A lot of people don't look at this, but I like, you can look at all those things right there, and you may say, like, colostrum is a great example, or protein powder is a great example, or protein shakes, whatever it may be, until you find out that the cost per clicks are $5.50.
Good.
And then I just do a quick formula. You know, your typical website, you're converting what, 3.5%? On Amazon, you're gonna do 3 to 5 times that.
Hmm.
So you're gonna be 9 to 15%-ish,
Mm.
or you should be, and depending on your product price
Yeah.
point. And so long story short, let's just say you have a 10% conversion and it's costing you $5. It's costing you $50 to acquire a customer on Amazon. Amazon's model is not the same as your website.
Right.
So,
Right. And something that's really I have two thoughts to share or recent stories to share. One is we've noticed with brands that are D2C only, and then they're only selling through their website, and then they pop up Amazon. Even if they're very early on, 6 months in, a year in, almost 30% of their sales will happen at Amazon. Right? So it's like, even
wow.
though
Yep.
all of the attention and traffic is being sent to the website, people
Yep.
are 30% of the buyers are breaking off to buy on Amazon anyway, which does not shock me because I do that too. I've seen stuff on
Yeah.
TikTok Shop, I've seen stuff on Meta where if it's a commoditized thing, I'm like, it's a click and a swipe. I have the backing. I know that I can deal with Amazon customer service. I know that returns are easy. Like it makes sense why it's an additional like capture channel for these brands. But to your point, just because you can capture demand there doesn't mean that you can grow your share of what else is on the platform. Like we see that all the time that, you can only spend so much to acquire a customer on Amazon on any platform, but on Amazon. So that really hit me when you were saying that, it is a channel that you can have either capturing demand that you're creating somewhere else, or if you want it to be something that can grow and scale on its own, it has to have its own map that works well. My other, I guess, question or thought was I had a friend recently share with me, and I didn't know this, 'cause these are the type of nuances that people might not know about Amazon, where he was sharing that, and correct me if I'm wrong, something like, if the product is under $20, Amazon takes a lesser percentage share than if it's over 20. Like, there's certain breakpoints
Yep.
where so it's like, if you have a product for $25, he's like, it's actually just as affordable to make it like 19.99 based on the way the Amazon fee structure works and stuff, and that blew my mind. I was like, "Wait, what?"
Yeah. So it for like grocery and gourmet, it's under $15. Some categories it's under $10. And so because the reality is, I mean, if you look at the way that Amazon's been over the number of years, 10 years ago, your ideal price point was about $15 to launch at
Mm,
because of the fees and all that stuff. And let's be real, Amazon's a public company. They will always be charging more
right.
fees. Like their advertising costs, their fulfillment costs, their all these things that they're doing and not doing is strictly for them to make more money. It's just the reality. But what has been nice is they have allowed this under $15 and under 10 in certain categories. And so like literally we did the math on it. It's like 16.50 is the exact same dollars to you as $15, but your conversion rate should be substantially higher. And that's what everyone's trying to figure out is what is this point of equilibrium?
Mhm.
Do we do this pack size at this price or do we do this pack size at this? Because consumers, what people still can't get through their head is it's all about like value, but you've got to be comparable.
Mhm.
And so like protein shakes, 30 bucks, 30 $35 is typical, right? Energy drinks, 20 to 30. But like if you go look at certain products, they're like 10, 12 bucks. Well, don't do something 3 times the size, even though it's better value in terms of dollars per unit, it's not gonna be able to compete.
Yep, yep. Yeah, no, man, what's crazy is this is what I think about this all the time, that I know you guys work with, we'll say dozens of clients. I know it's more than
Yeah, yeah.
dozens. And one of the things that I've always found so interesting is I have this phrase, someone said it to me, and I it's almost like a mantra I've been repeating to myself, which is there are the things that you know. There's the things you know you don't know, and then there's the things you don't even know you don't know. In
Yeah,
that
yeah,
last bucket
that's
in that
cool.
last bucket, because we do, we help brands launch. We advise in brands, at a founder level with people. And I realized that like everything that you were just explaining about all these things, that these nuances that can save people so much time, money, and heartbreak, and like get help to narrow the focus to like what can work like pretty quickly. And that is the value of working with someone who has not just seen so much, but is currently seeing so much. It's like
For
and
sure.
I feel that way, too, about like people that are even running it internally. It's so nice to have external perspective on like, oh, is this
Yes.
normal? Are these click-through rates normal? Is my
Yeah.
conversion rate normal for my category? Should I be am I is there an obvious thing that I'm not doing, or something I'm not pricing it at, or if I just changed it from, a 16 stick pack count to a 10 stick pack count and lower the price
Yeah.
point, this thing is a $50 million company, but because I have it, it's a $1 million company. It's like it's
Yeah.
crazy how much that can alter and change. Any reactions to that? I know you agree.
Yeah. Well, if I was a founder today in the CPG
Mm,
world, what I would try to do, I know it's hard to get time on your calendar because you're so busy and time on a lot of people that are, like, super legit in the space. A lot of people say, like, "How can you build my brand?" I would do it the other way of, you've seen so much. You guys have 300 brands that come to you every single month, and you deny a lot of them. And other ones, you just genuinely try to help and guide. And what I've found from, like, working with brands, the ones that are the best to work with are the ones that are willing to work with certain things and pretty much don't take they don't say no. They just, "Let's figure it out. Let's adjust. Let's." And we had a company that was doing 13 grand a month for 18 months straight. And I was friends with the guy, and I told him, like, "Hey, your pack size is completely wrong. You're selling it way too expensive. Your conversion rate's less than competition. You will never be able to rank up above them organically." And he was like, "Okay, I'll tell the agency." Well, they were like, "No, no, 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 no." He comes in, the guy does like 300 grand a month right now. And this is like, I mean, yes, of course, we restructured ad campaigns and all that, but honestly, it was majority of it, he could have scaled probably to 50 to 100 grand a month just after fixing the pack sizes. And so what I wish I had in the early days of me being a founder of Vita 5 or whatever was like, what's your take on this? What price point would you say it should be? Because we just get like, as founders, we just get stuck in our
Yep.
heads. And we're like, oh, the worst though is I talked to someone yesterday, really sweet lady, and she was like, "I'm just too emotionally attached to this." And I'm like, "Oh, no, 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 no. Back it
Oh,
up."
I
If it
am
can save
with
us
you.
life.
When right, it's funny, it's like, Nick, you were riding my mind because I have found that it gives me empathy. Having launched our own brands gives me empathy for people because when you come to somebody and they're not emotionally attached and they can just look at the math and look at the competition and be like, "This is the game you're playing. Are you aware that you're playing that
Yep.
game?" Versus like, "Oh, like, I love it," or "This is meaningful to me. This is why," it's like you get precious with it, and it's like, well, that's not helpful. That's just, but you can't help it. It's like
Yeah.
being unattached and unemotional to what you spent so much time building is like, I would say either a rare ability or something that you just have to be honest with yourself about and find people who will have those honest discussions with you. So when you said that, I was like, oh
So
man,
true.
I have so much empathy
It's
for people who are emotionally attached to what they're building. I have it too.
oh, for sure. I know, it's so
Yeah.
cool to see
So
though.
let's talk not just what has been working, but what are you thinking about for the future? I mean, this is one of the main reasons I wanted to have you on was one, I know how much value you have to offer, but two, I know how much you're thinking about the future. Right. And I'm one of those people too.
Yep.
I'm like, where is the puck going? What do I need to be thinking about
Yep,
and
yep.
trying today to get to where we wanna be. So as I understand it, AI, which is a very broad term, but like AI is starting to
Yep.
infuse its way into the Amazon world. What are some of the shifts you're already seeing? What are you noticing? What's on your top of mind for brands as they move into, we'll call it the rest of 2026 and beyond?
Yeah. I mean, if let's go back like a year, year and a half, maybe 2 years max. The 7 years before that, truthfully, there was very little adjustments, changes, anything within Amazon. I mean, I felt like it was twice a year we had an update. The updates in the last year and a half and now at the speed that it's running is absolutely insane. In AI, Claude, ChatGPT, name the things, whatever it may be, Google's this, that, whatever. Like these are just like in a sense, hype words. This is where I believe. One of my favorite pastors, Craig Rochelle, he always talks about
Shout out
goals,
Craig.
and everyone
I don't know who he is,
that's
but
right.
I just felt the need to like shout. Yeah, yeah.
Cool
What's
dude.
up, Craig?
He always talks about how, from like a leadership perspective, we always over exaggerate our goals in the short term and under exaggerate our
Right,
goals
true.
in the long term. And that's what I feel like AI has done so far in this and just the world in general, where we all think it can do anything and everything today, that we're gonna all lose our jobs today, tomorrow, whatever. And the reality is that's just
Mhm.
not the case. Now, it's moving really quick, and so this long term may be shorter than we think. We are already seeing a massive shift on the Amazon side. And I don't say that for some clickbait title. I don't say it for anything crazy. I would call myself a second mover. I'm not your first mover in most things. So I'm not gonna be the first one to get the newest iPhone, iPod, whatever
Mhm.
it may be, but I'm gonna learn enough about it and then go. We've seen in the last year, people are searching different. Now, they have not gone full in on this yet, just so you know. Keywords are still really, really important. The old classic way was Amazon wants you to convert on your product with specific keywords higher than the
Mhm.
competition for every specific little thing because they want to make as much money as possible, as much profit as possible. And you have to pay to get there. However, the reality is now, if you go and search the example I gave earlier of high quality headphones, you will not find Apple or the expensive Bose or the expensive JBLs. You'll find the $40, $50 pairs continually because the average consumer was converting higher with those.
Interesting. And you're
However,
saying that's with what would the phrase be, if you don't mind me asking, that you said it would be premium headphones?
yeah, something like
I'm typing it in.
premium
Hold on.
headphones, high
Hold
quality
that
headphones.
thought. Hold
Yeah, let's
that
go.
thought. Premium headphones. Headphones.
Now, as you're looking through this,
Right,
ignore
right,
the
yeah, yeah.
sponsored
I'm
because that's
scrolling
the
past
only
the
way that you can get there.
sponsored, and we are into interesting. Yeah. Wow. So I'm looking at wow, that is so interesting. 'Cause the sponsor, I'm laughing because I'm like, the sponsored is throwing me. So, well, let me put it this way. Crazy. I am going through this page right now. Top two sponsored results. Third one down, sponsored. Fourth
Yep.
one down, sponsored. So the two top ones, $6.99 for Bowers and Wilkins as the first
Yep.
top two, and then it's Sony at $300 and Skull Candy at 149. We're still in sponsored results. The first non-sponsored result is a 199 Beats, the 26,000 reviews, 4.9 stars. The next one is Sony at 400, but then we're also getting from Freakily Shop Brands, I'm getting everything from J Lab J Buds Luxe at $41.99 to Skull Candy again at 150, Soundcore. Again, all of this is I am amazed to say that on my desktop, 10 of the first 13 things are sponsored, and you
Yep.
don't really pay attention to the difference. Wow.
Nope. As a consumer,
Wow.
you rarely notice.
Wow.
And what's cool and what it has done over the last bit and is getting better and better with this is it starts to understand the consumer. And so I'll use myself as two different consumers. Back 10 years ago when I first launched my last business, I made 7 grand my first year. I was buying the cheapest wireless headphones that broke
Right.
every month and a half because I got too much sweat in my ears, you know? Nowadays, I just use the AirPods. It connects to my phone and my computer and everything else out there, and so it's just easiest. Amazon now starts to understand me as an individual and will personalize
Mhm.
it to that. And so I don't think that their AI today is as ideal in that spot, but where it is getting better is the asking of the questions, which will gradually build it deeper and deeper. And you'll find that the questions are all very, very similar to what keywords were back in the
Interesting.
day, right? Back four,
So
five, 6, 7 years ago.
functionally, how does that change what you're doing now? Is it just being aware of it? Like, how does that matter now? Like, what are you doing differently, or are you doing anything?
Yeah. The number of releases that they've had on Amazon Seller Central and advertising and all the stuff in the back end has completely shifted. They've added more tools in the last year than I bet they did the 5 years before that. And with it, what I'll say is the tools that they're adding more audience type style. People that are likely to buy from you, people that have added a cart, new to brand people. Because the reality is you're okay getting a certain ROAS or in the Amazon world, ACOS. You're willing to spend more money on a new to brand customer than you are someone that's coming back, right? Even if they're not searching your brand name and that. And so you'll find way more audiences on that. You'll find there's now gradually, right? We're about, April of 2026. You're starting to see a little bit of like the AI questions and some of that stuff, but this is very slowly
Yeah, there
moving.
do you
Yes,
get the
people are
sense they're
using
kinda
Rufus more.
testing it or what? Well, yeah, yeah,
Absolutely. Amazon is A/B testing like
yeah,
crazy on
yeah.
all of this stuff to see what works
It is a
best.
good point that based on all of your previous purchasing history, all of your previous reviews, et cetera, like, I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, Amazon already knows I'm not gonna buy the $700 headphones. Like, ooh,
Yep.
I had never done that.
Yep.
Now, I feel like they know me well. Like, I feel like they could triangulate pretty quickly which 3 headphones I would buy in 3 different tiers and why. I think that the
Yep.
the part that I'm trying to it was a question that I didn't have until I did this search, which is I am just floored. And this might be because premium headphones is such a competitive category. It's a high AOV category. I'm just floored by the number of sponsored results. So I'm like, at what point is Amazon actually get because how do I put this? What they prioritized in this is serving the ads, right?
Yep,
10 out of
for sure.
13 results were sponsored. It wasn't like they were trying to give me whatever the most organic one was. No, I can go in and set it to say number of reviews, whatever, whatever. So I guess what
Sure.
I'm trying to say is I'm like, will it ever be any different than pay to play? Like it is pay to play. I'm like, it already is.
I mean, I think it was the last 3 years, I may be a little bit off on these numbers here, but last 3 years, the, Amazon sales have gone up 91%. However, the ad costs have gone up
There you go.
387%. Principal point being that, right? Maybe I'm off a couple percent or something like that, but the idea there is sales have gone up. I just saw something this morning of the US households, they have 200,000,000 households. I'm like, you know how much more that you can
Yeah.
grow there, right? Like, how much more are you gonna be able to get there? And so where they're gonna have to win is like, I mean, this is wild to me. I mean, these are recent tests that I've just recently seen, but I mean, they're putting frequently
Yeah, I
returned.
saw that. Yeah.
And I'm like, "Ooh, that is like the biggest thing to like
Right.
not get
Right.
me to buy something." Well, they don't want you to
Right.
because you're gonna return it. It's gonna cost them money. It hits the P&L. Just buy the one that actually converts. What's crazy is that, like, the AI is not where it exactly should be because once it hits that, someone's just paying the $700 product, they say, "Hey, we've got dollar margin. We have a lot more dollar margin than the $40 company
Right.
naturally." But they don't have the conversion. And so right now, the $700 company or the person that's super highly funded is just
Yeah.
gonna go up there and go. What I genuinely believe, which this has become more and more the case over the last number of years, they want fewer and fewer Chinese kind of sleazy companies that
Kinda
are just
like a
copying patents and
nameless
copying and
knockoff
not
brand.
doing anything good.
Yep.
Yep. Like the classic Amazon brand, they do not wanna turn
Yeah.
into Temu.
Yeah.
It's not,
Yeah.
not the ideal. So they are getting a lot more legit, which is great for most of the brands now. There's gonna be a number of hiccups
Right.
until then.
Man, this is I mean, I knew my mind would be expanded. I think what I'm processing right now, I need to search for something else. I need to search like give me another thing to search for here. What would be let's say creatine gummies.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
You're gonna get a
All right,
lot
here we go.
there.
Creatine gummies. One okay, so top one, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so this is crazy. I'm looking right now. So of the first 14 I see, 11 of them are sponsored. I don't
Yep.
I was not ready or prepared for the idea that, like, Google has always had, like, 2 or 3 sponsored pay-per-click type things. Now it's like, if you don't pay money, you're not showing up.
For sure. This
Wow.
is how I explain it to people.
Yep.
Amazon's a public company. They are getting the consumers as much as they can. Now they've got to get the vendors. And so that's why you have to be on the sponsored side and you have to convert. If you don't convert, like I talk to people all the time and they're like, oh, we're putting money in, we're putting money in, we're putting money in. And I'm like, no point at a certain point. If you're not converting better than the market,
Right.
why are you going after this specific term? And so it is super interesting. We're gonna continue to see more and more sponsored. I mean, it's almost
Yeah.
obnoxious how much sponsored stuff. I think it's personally pretty obnoxious. All of the I mean, we're in a spring sale right now for big spring sale. Don't worry if you miss it though. We'll
Yeah.
have another one in two and a
Yeah.
half months. I mean, these are kind
Yeah.
of getting watered down at this point. 20%
Yeah, no,
deals
this
aren't
is
really
this is
deals.
unbelievable. Okay, and so what I'm feeling the tension of here is I think a lot of times how to put it? Okay, there's three thoughts going through my head at the same time. One is I think one of the misconceptions that people have is that, I was talking to somebody yesterday and their price for their product, they're like, this is a fair price for my product. And I was like, look, I get that, but you need to raise your price from $11 to $17. Because if you don't, you'll have
Yep.
no money to actually acquire customers and run the business. I get that that to you it's a fair price and it's
Yep.
what you would want to pay, but if you can't make this a business that also can have the freedom to invest back into it, if you're at 50% product cogs, meaning 50% of what your product is just pure cost, there is no room for you to unless you have the distribution channels, there's no room for you to pay Amazon to be in these searches. There's no room for you to pay
Oh
Meta
yeah.
to be in the searches. We were talking about, of course, like bundling other things, but what I'm realizing in this moment is you have to have enough margin to make the business work. Still has to be in the right value for the customer, And now if you're layering it on top of that, it has to be enough to have you even be seen, right? It's like it's the classic term is table stakes. And I've never thought of the third one. I've just always thought to myself, if there isn't enough margin in there for you to get in front of people, then there's just no way to be in the game. And I think the other part of this is like, these creatine gummies are great. I'm looking at them. I'm like, it's just if they doesn't already exist, it's just a matter of time before Amazon has Amazon, creatine gummies and they undercut your pricing. And so does Costco
Yep.
with Kirkland. I'm like, so at some
It's true.
point, you're never really gonna be able to compete on price because someone can always do it a little cheaper and the platform or the retailer can always white label and do it cheaper.
And they
It's a
will.
sobering
I mean,
thought, but
we're
it's like,
seeing it.
man, you can't get yourself caught in trying to be the most affordable option. You will pretty much always lose.
Well, and on Amazon, I like giving this just because it's good math for people to understand. On Amazon, your cost of goods multiply it by 3 to 5x. That's the range that you should be in for
Interesting.
Amazon. And there's different math
Yep.
for your D2C site because everyone always looks at things and they just take it for face value. And everyone goes, I'm gonna start doing mine on Amazon or I'm gonna do mine on, my website and do Meta and blah blah blah. And I'm like, no, you got to figure out what model works, right? On your website, you got to have a certain average order value. Average order value is not the same. Yes, of course, you want a certain average order value on Amazon, but the reality is
Yeah.
that is not a metric you're going after. You're not trying to upsell and upsell and upsell. Like you're trying to get something that becomes a long lifetime value, yes. And so you're trying to convert for conversion on Amazon. So you may do different pack sizes, and that's where all the difference comes in of do you
What are the letters,
do
right? What are the letters full that are going to get
exactly.
you to the math that scales? And you and I both, I'm laughing because, I'm aware of Amazon as a channel, but the math that I can immediately do is on the D2C side, right? Like it's reflexive. Some people, when I meet with them, they're like, they look at me like they've just seen someone do like a Beautiful Mind like rendition of like, they're like, oh my gosh, how do you know that? I'm like, because it's math it's just math. And then it's hard because a lot of times the math does help take the feelings out of it. Cause I'm like, well, I hear you that you don't feel like people will pay more, but I'm telling you they have to, or your business will never grow past where it is today. And they're like, oh, that makes sense. And so these nuggets are so good in terms of just like some of those foundational guardrail pieces. Let me ask you this before we wrap our discussion here, and thank you for dropping these knowledge bombs. What is when you work with people? What is the process that you take them through? And let's assume in this case that they are not on Amazon yet, right? Because that's gonna be a much
Mhm.
larger learning curve than like we're on Amazon and we're doing all right. And I'm
Sure.
guessing most of I don't want to assume, but I'm guessing most of the brands you work with are either maybe like a funded startup or already have momentum on Amazon and are
Yep.
maximizing it. So just give me a sense of like what is the process you help take them through to get them to a healthy place?
Yeah, the first thing I always do on Amazon, off Amazon, does not matter, is it worth it to go after? And so I have calls all the time, and I always pull up data to back this, and we go through some of the things we talked about earlier. What's the amount of revenue in the industry? What are the main competitors doing? Reviews, price point, cost per clicks, all that stuff. And what I'll do is I'll pull it up and I'll say, hey, there's a certain math point here where this does not make sense to do. And this is for your sake, not mine, right? Like there's too many agencies out there that go out there and they say, hey, I'm just going to close.
Amen to that. That is the biggest thing. That's the biggest thing that I say is I'm like, we could sign 3 to 4 times as many brands. Now, that will mean that more and more of them will
Yep.
fail, which will ultimately impact our long-term reputation. I'm not in the business of that, but there's a
Totally.
lot of people that are. And so I hear you on that. Like, I love that you start
Yeah.
with like, can I actually be successful with you? That is
Yep.
yep.
And then just being like super real. Like I talked to a lady the other day. Her dad's an entrepreneur,
Mhm.
not in this space. He's in the SaaS space. And I know him from years and years ago. I would say this to her either way. And she's been building this pet brand. And she thought she was being innovative by going after calming chews for dogs, right? We'll go look at calming chews for dogs. Every massive competitor that you do not want to fight against because they are just blowing money through this stuff and they're also making millions, millions, millions of dollars a month are in these spaces trying to hit the number one spot. And so I just told her, I said, "Hey, if the math is over $3.50 a
Mm.
click, I would never get into this." Boom, it was like 5.50 a click. I said, but I had to pull the emotion out of it because I'm like, I never want you to be emotional with it if you should or shouldn't. Now, there's always a little bit of like variance, right? Those brands that are, I'm looking behind you, you got Everyday Dose, right? They do so much volume on their D2C site that there were people, and this is the old school thing. I mean, I love it because there was a 5, 6 years ago, Liquid IV, and they just launched something recently, which is hilarious. Liquid IV, there was, or sorry, on Amazon, there was searches for
Mhm.
Liquid IV variety pack for years. There was a company, and you can still look it up today, that has jank looking branding to Liquid
Let me
IV
look.
and has a variety pack. And they were doing $700,000 a month with this product. And I'm like, I literally
Is it?
called up someone at Liquid IV and I'm like,
Oh my
launch a
gosh.
variety pack,
Yes.
you'll make 10 million bucks a year.
Yeah.
Hydra something. It's not a brand you'll ever remember.
Yeah. Well, Hydramate. Yeah. Yeah.
I think so,
Wow.
yep.
Yep.
And I'm like, how crazy, right? Like, not even a real, like, I don't want to call it not a real brand. Good for them. They're making a ton of money.
Right.
They've had opportunity where opportunity was. But I sit there and I'm like, that is from Liquid IV not paying close enough attention to what the search volume was. There's tens of thousands of searches a month because people were wanting to try multiple of them because it was too much of a risk to put 20, 30,
Right.
$40 into one product. And so what they did is they just took the flavors that they had and went after it and were
Wow.
strictly keyword based.
Wow.
And so
Yeah. That's wild. That's wild. Okay.
it's
All
fun.
right. So you take them through the process of does it work? Can it work? And then where does the
Yep.
like or in this case, let's say they are already working, then what?
Yep. Next thing you got to figure out is like ads is a major part, right? We've been talking about this. And while we all wish that it was less of a part, the reality is it is. And so what we then go through is try to figure out like, is the
Mm.
structure of the campaigns right? One of the biggest things that I've found is that people mess up the structure. And what I'll always tell people is if you have a campaign with multiple ad groups, multiple products, and then multiple keywords within, what happens on Amazon's system is all those keywords go to certain ones. Well, it will not tell you which product got the sale. So you have
Interesting.
no ability to scale.
Okay.
It's a
It's a trap.
dangerous spot to be in. So you want to be in a spot where it's the opposite, where it is, you know exactly which product. So you do, now this is a pain, but you do single campaign, single ad group, single product, and then your single keyword on the ones that are meaningful and impactful for your business.
Yeah. All right. Well, Nick, if someone has just could not get enough of the wisdom that you have brought today, what's the best way for them to follow along? Obviously, reach out to you and everything else.
Man, I honestly, that my goal through this year is to give out as much free information as possible through LinkedIn. I'm going to do it through YouTube and TikTok. So if you see me there, I'm probably gonna be a bit embarrassing to watch, but LinkedIn's the real way that I'm literally opening up my full playbook to everyone because there's too many people out there that are being told the wrong things online through
I know.
courses, through YouTube videos, through all this stuff. And so I've taken dozens and dozens of brands that I've worked with and just sharing exactly what works for most
Love that.
brands.
All right. So Nick Hall, Nik Hall on LinkedIn is the best way. And then obviously through the website, if they want to check out Revive Marketing Partners as well, correct?
That's right.
Cool. All right. Well,
I
thank you
appreciate
for rocking this with us. I already feel like I'm rising in my own rankings. Of course, it's sponsored, but I am feeling good about
You're paying for it.
good about my understanding of Amazon.
Oh yeah. I appreciate you.
All right, that's what we have for you today. If you got value from this conversation, please make sure to follow so you never miss an episode of Marketing People Love. Until next time, I'm your host, Jacques Spitzer.